Did you guys see that intro? Welcome to today's adventure on Spirit Sessions, A View of the Light, where, yes, we will be finding out why Stacy Braiuca is asking us to show our nuts. I can't wait to find out, and I hope mine are qualified. But anyway, before we get into that, it's going to be a fun discussion, and we're part of a beautiful family here. So I'm going to burn a little smudge for us. Yep, smudge that. It's very hard to light this one. There we go. Ooh, such a little stream, but it works. Around for everyone. Come into our little circle here, family. Drop everything off at the door because here we are in here. We're going to be ourselves and have a lot of fun today. And we have an amazing guest who is Stacy Braiuca, who is a squirrel wrangler. So share this out, like it, and come back and come with me and find out what the heck does this mean. But before we start, Stacy, I'd like to welcome you. And I wonder if you will go ahead and pull that card for us, and then we will get to know you afterwards.
So for those, I have the Inner Voice deck. It's made by Unity. It was referred to me by a colleague who's kind of teaching me tarot, named Afefe. She's touched by Tarot and Beyond on YouTube, and she's oh, there goes the cards. They're already popping out. I'm gonna there's 3 of them. So pick one of the.
I like, the middle one.
The middle one?
Yeah.
All right, let's go with that one. It says, I am one with infinite wisdom, clarity, introspection, and solitude.
Beautiful. Simple and beautiful.
Mm-hmm. I love these cards because they have like they have a saying along with the other words, like this one of clarity, introspection, and solitude.
Oh yeah.
And being one with infinite wisdom that's where we all should be headed, right? Somehow.
Right. Yeah, for sure. And so that card is for the week ahead. And so let's always remember to tune within to that inner wisdom that we have. And when you're one with it, allow it to flow and radiate it out and stuff. So how I've gotten to know you is through Jessica Dugas at the Breakthrough Show Network and the Go Brunch things that we do. And so to me, you're like a whole nother celebrity coming over here to visit our little city. You know what I mean? And stuff. And it's exciting. And the energy that you bring, it's like, I'm just going to sit back and like, what is this? This is exciting, and listen. And then you have a new show coming up this Tuesday, right? The 17th. Is that right there?
Tuesday.
Yeah. So what I really want to know, first of all, is what is it in your life that took you to where you are here and we're calling you the Squirrel Wrangler? How does one get to do that?
The Squirrel Wrangler story probably started predominantly when I left my corporate job and was doing work on my own finally. Now, I was still doing things that I did before of therapy. I'm a clinical social worker by background. I was also teaching graduate school for public health students and for social workers,
Wow.
Which are the 2 degrees that I have. And a couple things happened at the same time. I was involved in some entrepreneurial networking groups.
Right.
Who one of the gentlemen in one of the groups kept telling people, oh, the gal with the blue hair and squirrels, the gal with the blue hair and squirrels, because I would talk about, at the time, I was talking a lot about productivity, and I would talk about the squirrels, because one of my specialties has become anxiety and productivity and stress management. But where that came from before that was actually my mentor, who I actually lost last summer. Lost
Oh,
her to some lung cancer. Although she's
oh,
with me all the time, of course. Uh,
right.
she she and I were sitting at breakfast one day. She mentored me in teaching. So she was helping me learn how to teach these baby social workers better. And we were sitting at
Okay.
breakfast talking about things, and she was helping me learn that. And I in return, I actually helped her with her anxiety about technology.
Oh, neat.
So we're sitting at breakfast, and all of a sudden she says, Stacy, if you are ever going to get anything done, you have got to learn how to focus more.
Oh, wow.
And that literally put me on the journey. And that was probably around 2011, maybe. That put me on the journey of learning how to use the tech, because I was already a tech geek, use the technology to increase my productivity. And that actually even became my mission of helping people use technology to increase their productivity so that they had more time for self-care and
Ooh,
for human
yeah.
interaction,
Oh,
because
yeah.
that's what we're supposed to be here for,
Right.
is joy and human interaction and learning about our emotions. But if we're stuck not getting our stuff done, then we can't do that. So
Wow.
it actually even became a mission. And that's kind of the secret mission underneath the Squirrel Wrangler. So flash forward, the gentleman started saying, yeah, Stacy, the gal with the squirrels and the blue hair, the squirrels and the blue hair. And my friend Paula and I we were talking, and I said, originally it was squirrel something else. And I can't remember what the word was I used, but it wasn't Wrangler. But then it became Squirrel Wrangler, but then I set it aside for a little bit, and because I felt like it was too silly.
Oh,
And
no.
um, ultimately, about a year ago, I was sitting in a Go Brunch room with RJ, who's a friend there, and another person in that group, and they said, the Squirrel Wrangler people can relate to, and it is something you can grow into a brand. And now that blossomed into storylines, and there's
Oh,
characters, um and then all of a sudden it also then became a new live show. And that's where Show Me Your Nuts came from too.
yeah. I heard that was like an amazing session, like all your minds together. It's like, man, that had to have been some awesome sparks going on over there.
Oh, that one we were laughing, and I think we were laughing until we cried
Yeah.
when that one came up, because it just, whatever we were talking about was so funny with it. But what is still that seed that came out of it of, wait a minute, Show Me Your Nuts. That's a great name for a show.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so
So what does the show represent? I mean, what's it going to be about for people who are going to tune
yeah,
in?
the premise of the show is really, there's multiple premise, but one of the core premises is reclaiming the word nuts as a negative, stigmatizing word for mental wellness.
Okay.
And so it's reclaiming that word nuts in a positive light, and
Right
also
on.
talking about things like advocacy for legislation and policies that are for good for mental wellness and for us as humans.
Yeah.
Um, but also in that planning and productivity part and focus, what are the things that are the nuts you're chasing, but also like what are the ones you can put aside and plan with? Because squirrels, as we know, they plan for their food storage for the winter.
Yeah.
And so, like, what can you do that's like, those are like nuts that you store away. But then there's also, every once in a while, there's a rotten nut or two that you can't
Oh,
find in your pile, but it could ruin your whole pile. And
yeah.
so it's also, what nuts do you have stored away that are no longer serving you?
Oh, yeah.
And how do you get rid of that? And how do you work with that and transcend it into your next iteration so that your nut storage doesn't go bad.
For real.
Or that your next action isn't bad because you've got bad nuts. I it's funny because the more I think about the show, the more of the funny like nut references and squirrel references I come up with. So it's gonna be interesting to see what happens, because I pretty much fly by the seat of my pants now.
Good.
There's some. Don't get me wrong. There's definitely planning involved in the show's topics, but
Right.
underneath that, I want to allow myself, my guests, whatever, to just do free flow, very similar to the Spirit Sessions show.
Yeah.
So I was so excited to like, hey, wait a minute, I can come on here early and.
Yeah. Well, that's fun.
Free flow.
One thing I wanted to tell you and disclose to you is that I've known a lot of social workers from another side of the table with them, and they've helped me in my life a lot in the whole mental health thing. I have bipolar disorder, schizoaffective tendencies, and borderline disorder. So just a few fun
That's some heavy, and see, and that's where like they're heavy when they're called diagnoses.
Yeah,
labels,
when
you're looking at the challenges that life presents when you're carrying those nuts around.
Yeah.
But what if you could turn it around and see and you probably have, I suspect, just what little I know of you, turn around and see the strengths in each of those things.
Oh, yeah.
What about those pieces makes Teresa?
Yeah.
And what is it?
To me, that's where the beauty comes in. When you get to see these things and you see the connections and how the things make sense, well, then that's where the beauty is. But before it's like, what is this? So actually, the label actually feels good. The day they read to me from a book, and then they're saying, well, tell me if this sounds familiar to you. And they're reading this, that, and I go, are you guys following me or what? And so it was actually, so I do have something. Okay. Well, that's good to know. And then from there, okay, well, then who am I now that I have something? Can I trust my mind? I mean, what is it all about? So it did become a long trail, but that really was my awakening journey. Well, one of them.
It sounds like it took away the something's wrong with me feeling and put in place this is why I operate with this way, because I have this programming system in, and that's how mine operates. Oh, okay, I can live with that. Now that I know that's the thing, how do I live within it? And that's one of the things that I really want to emphasize in the show is not mental illness. You'll notice when I put hashtags, generally they're almost all going to say mental wellness. Because what I want people to know is we can all, no matter, even if you're struggling with something, that doesn't mean you can't be mentally well within the struggle.
Right.
And there's lots of pieces to that. So I'm hoping to bring insights from 30 years worth as a therapist, from working in public health, also from teaching baby social workers and baby public health professionals, and bring some of those things in for hope. One of my other colleagues, he describes our field as the hope keepers.
I love that.
And he used to give all of his students a blue. If you're familiar with the Green Lantern as a superhero character, there's also a superhero character called the Blue Lantern, and the Blue Lantern is for hope. Wow. And so, and which is kind of interesting since blue is one of my kind of favored colors.
I love that
at the moment.
Yeah, that's so cool about that. Got excited and forgot what I was going to ask you. That's kind of what I do. I like, that's so neat. So moving on then, you talk about anxiety too, and man, I always knew anxiety was there, and anxiety is a part of all the things. and stuff. But man, it feels like there's this whole new kind of anxiety that goes on day and night, and you don't get out of it. And I recently finally came out of that one, and that's about the time we were getting to know you. And so first it took me out, and then I crawled my way back. But so that put me back on the bandwagon. It's like, man, I'm glad there's people that help us work on anxiety like that. And so just share with us what you have found that you like to share that helps people.
Well, on anxiety, on the note of anxiety, I now can finally share my personal story on that, because the long run is I've basically probably had anxiety since I was a teenager, at least.
At least then, yeah.
I don't recall feeling a lot of anxiety prior to being a teenager. So it was probably, it may have been even initially hormonally induced, who knows, right? With changes that we go through then, but definitely, it was definitely induced later by ending up I was in a domestically violent relationship at a young age, at a really young age, intimate, boyfriend. And so at least from that age, so let's call it 17, and had it all my life. And even like that's part of what drove me to my profession. But even though I knew that medication was a good thing, sometimes I knew all the things as a therapist.
Right.
And I knew what I was experiencing. And to an extent, when you're a therapist or a doctor or whatever, you can help yourself with things. But then there's also that line that you cross where you can't effectively treat yourself. It's just not possible. And probably, not even recommended, to be fair. But I had a colleague one time, I was in the middle of a really, really intense period of, I had what they called generalized anxiety.
Okay.
And generalized anxiety is like little bits of anxiety all day long, every day, little stuff, like all the things.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, this bill's due. How am I going to pay it? Oh my gosh, this thing needs to be done. I have this list of 10 things I need to do. And it all caused this emotional buildup.
Yeah, right.
And I'd carry it all the time. Couldn't get rid of it at night. Hard to go to sleep, lots of things. And she said to me, if you were having a heart attack, what would you do? And I'm like, call 911 or go to the ER. And she's like, exactly. So why aren't you going to the doctor to get on medication that you know is available, because you know it will help you? Like, I mean, she's like, all the things. Why are you not doing it?
Oh.
That was my first foray into taking medication. Okay. Then I actually stopped the medication for a period of time, and because I was feeling better. And people do that. It happens. Obviously, it happens to therapists as well as other people's. Stopping your medicine because you're feeling better. Well, with my situation, it took some years, and I was in a high pressure. That was when I was in my corporate job. I was in a high pressure research team, and I started. I even remember it was September of the year, and I was coming home every Wednesday, which was the day of our team meetings, and sitting on the back porch doing this.
Oh, wow.
That's how the level of the anxiety, right?
Wow.
And about the third week of that, I realized there was enough of me cognizant that's like, okay, you got to do something. So I called my doctor, got on medicine again. I started doing some particular breathing exercises and other exercises to help myself sleep at night. I also contacted a friend who's a hypnotherapist and started doing hypnotherapy with her.
Oh, neat.
And not realizing that years later I was going to become a hypnotherapist as well myself. But that's actually where things changed. Yeah. November 17th, 2022. I remember the date.
Yeah.
My anxiety disorder is now, I'll call it in remission.
Wow.
I have not had but one or two things come up that are anxiety provoking since
Wow.
that date. It's been almost 3 years. I'm still on medication. I'm not going to go off my medication. I've been down that road, saw what
Okay.
happened.
All
You know,
right.
been there, done that, bought the t-shirt, burned the t-shirt, decided to try that one again. So still on medication. But the other day I was thinking about it and I was like, I don't even remember what it feels like to not have the anxiety. I don't remember, or to feel it. I don't remember what it
Okay.
feels like to have it. I don't remember what that feels like to have the anxiety all the time.
Right.
And it was there all the time. How can I not remember that, right?
Right.
And so it is literally all because of some of the techniques I learned as a master practitioner at the training I was at at the time that happened. I was able to put my own anxiety in remission.
Wow.
And since then, now that I know those things, many of my clients have experienced the same thing. I've been
Oh,
able
I
to get
bet.
them past
Yeah.
anxiety and depression. And I have one of my favorite stories from one of my clients, and I actually have permission to tell the story in a anonymous way, of course. Is that they were terrified of going to big events outside of the house with crowds, especially downtown where they live, and they were just terrified of it. And after we did some work together, they literally went to the opening day of a ball game or of the season of baseball in their city, and like big crowds downtown, and they had the time of their life.
Wow. Oh, yay.
And
Oh,
it
my
was
gosh.
literally after, and it was because of the work we had done. And it just, like, that story just touches me. Like, I witnessed this person release their anxiety.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's like worth $1 million. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Having
And
said it, yeah.
and it's the honor for me too, is there's this, I feel like people have had me on journeys for anxiety. I've been on aside people on their transformation journey as a transgender individual, which is lots of different things, and journeys for grief and loss. Like I say, anxiety, depression, grief and loss, career issues, stressors, just general stress management, work-life balance. And it's just, for me, it's like I meet the person and they're in one place and I travel with them and we get to another.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's so cool.
That's beautiful. So when people come to you, I guess there's a difference when they come to you before, like when you're at a clinic or something, versus now. Are they coming to you like, oh my God, I don't know what else to do? Or, hey, I have some things I want to clear. This, how is it that when they come to you?
Yeah. Probably a little of both, but predominantly now it's more, I have some things I want to clear. I know I want to work on this.
Oh, that's exciting.
It's probably more of, I know this is going on and I know I want to work on it, than it is being at their wit's end. Although I will say there's a couple, probably, some that probably are like, yeah, they're already at that point where they really don't know what to do.
Oh, heck yeah. I love
Most
that.
of them, I would say, are like, they know something's going on and they know they want to work on it. Most of them.
Yeah. Right on. Because that's fun. It's fun to have somebody that you can have a nice working relationship with, who's not judging you, who's not putting things in front of you that you can't even do. It's nice the way you journey with, you know what I mean? I like that.
Well, and that actually brings up a core piece of the Squirrel Wrangler and of Stacy. And it's literally, as a social worker, one of the core things we learn in social work, like probably like one of the earliest things we learn, is a concept called start where the client is.
Yeah.
And to me, I have there's 4 There's 4 on my list, but my friend made me add 3 more, and it was 7 of the rules of social work. And to me, the first rule, it's always the first rule. It's where I come back to every time I work with a client.
Yeah.
Every time is start where they are. So Monday, I do therapy sessions all day on Monday. I'm going to start where each of those clients are that day on Monday.
Oh, yay.
Not where I left them the previous Monday. Not
Yeah.
where I knew they might have been on Thursday, Friday, or 2 a.m. on Saturday, but where they're at right that moment. Because if I don't start with where they're at right that moment, it's not going to help them.
You're right.
I have to start where they are. That's the most important part to me of what I do. And I transition that over into I transition that over not only into what I do with each client, but when I do group work, you start where the group is. You also, like, when I have a coffee every Thursday morning, I start where where those people in coffee are.
Yeah.
And I can already see myself doing that with the show.
Oh, yay. Okay.
Is probably going off script of where the show is supposed to go, but going where my audience leads me.
Yeah. Oh,
Because
that's
to
going to be
me,
so
that's the
sweet.
important part, is starting where they're at.
Right.
So you might see me go off script.
Hey, I'm all for that. No, that's
But there's a reason behind it. If I do go off script, there's a reason behind it. It's not just to follow the squirrels. It literally is to
yeah. I
be
see it
in
as
that,
intuitive, like
be in the space of following following
yeah.
where the people who are asking me for guidance and help follow where they're asking for the thing.
Yeah,
Not.
that's so amazing and
Mhm.
so needed. I wanted to run by some things that I've been told in therapy because, for one, it's so important to find the right therapist. And if you got to search and search, well, therapy or even the social workers, the same. Finding the right ones that match with you. And this is why I'm so excited about what you do. But one thing I've heard, and is it true? Okay, once we're an addict, we're always an addict, even if we or what they called it was dirty. You're still dirty, even if you go the next 50 years without ever touching a substance or whatever it was you're addicted to. You're still dirty. And my issue was, why do we have to consider and feel our, because it was a whole group, so I was trying to represent all of us. Why do we have to feel that we're dirty? Sure, we're all trying to get from here to there, but why is it that we have to feel that we're dirty, and that's what we have to sit here and accept? And so I didn't feel that therapy was so good for me there.
I'm gonna not only agree with you, I'm gonna start screaming about it, because that, to me, screams mental illness, stigma, and a negative use of the word nuts, a negative use of the word dirty. You're not dirty. You're not. I just did a presentation Tuesday in the Go Brunch Expo, and I talked about not being broken.
Oh.
But having the wrong operating system, or just needing a tune-up to your operating system. None of us are ever broken, period, full stop.
Right.
We are here on a journey. We are where we are at in the journey, and we have experienced the things in the journey that we signed up for. And as we experience those things, we learn lessons that we put ourselves here for. And absolutely none of those lessons are wrong. It's not dirty. It's not whatever. It's that, as a matter of fact, I would say that someone who is dealing with an addiction put themselves here to learn a specific lesson. And oh my gosh, the strength in that.
Yeah.
I've watched family members go from non-sobriety to being sober for years, and working in environments where their substance of choice is served. So an alcoholic working in a bar every single day, even right after they became sober. One of the strongest individuals I know in the world.
Right.
And yeah, that hit me. That's, to me, wherever, whatever therapy or person told you that, whether they're, I mean, and it could have been a social worker even. I'm not my own, and I'm not perfect either, but my own folks, we have our own internal arguments on things too. But I that's absolutely
Wild.
inappropriate in my opinion, because how well, and dirty comes with connotations.
Yeah, doesn't it?
Dirty comes, it comes with a lot of those negative stigmatic connotations, and not dirt. You're not dirty. You're experienced, in my opinion. That's how I'd describe it.
Yeah, so I tried to argue with him and try to give more hope, because on one hand, I'm seeing the social workers, because that's what we had to do to get our SSI. You have to keep going. And then over here, I was seeing a transpersonal awareness counselor, which might be like a life coach now or something. And over here, oh my God, there was the hope, the things that you talk about. There was wonderful light. I walk out of that room and I was like 2 feet above the ground. But this other therapy I was going to, I go home and I cry the rest of the day, and I'm down for 2 days. And so there's such a difference. So I really love what you are bringing, what I mean? It's so needed.
Yeah, and
there's one other.
Though I'm a therapist and a clinician, and I do therapy, I am in the process of transition to focusing on coaching. And there's a difference between therapy and coaching is what door somebody comes in.
Okay.
And a therapist can do coaching, but a coach absolutely cannot do clinical therapy work.
Right.
And understanding those things I think is important. But back to kind of your original thing in that of choosing the right therapist for the right fit. There have been times where, as I'll get a potential client, and I have learned over the years to listen to my intuition, especially in private practice, that if a client doesn't feel like I'm going to fit for them, I need to encourage them to find somebody else who fits better for them.
Right.
And that's a really hard thing to do sometimes, because they may want to work with me, but sometimes it doesn't feel like a fit. And almost every time that happens and I go ahead and take them on, a couple weeks later, they will drop off because it's not fitting for them. And what worries me is that then they won't go and make sure they get another person.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm not going to fit for everybody.
Right.
Although I do find, from the spiritual perspective, it's been really cool that the more I've stepped into who I am and my own authenticity, and the more I've projected out into the universe what kind of clients I want, they come to me because of the fit. And it's because of an energetic alignment as much or more than anything. And that's the part that to me is like super exciting, because I am leaning more and more into my own spiritual self. And the more I lean into it and bring it into the therapy process, the more it impacts. And my clients, I've had some amazing things happen in the last 6 months with clients just from leaning into my own intuition more than I was. It blows my mind how much we are connected that way.
Oh yeah, I love that. That's totally inspiring me. I wanted to go by and tell you one more thought I heard. This one was from an actual psychiatrist, the one who gives the medicine. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, well, yeah, we could try to give you medicine to help you out, but there's nothing we can do about your personality. And so I had to walk home about 4 or 5 blocks with that one on my mind. Like, okay, so does that mean my personality is, it turned me into a whole thing. Anyhow, I had my other, like I said, my transpersonal awareness counselor who was helping me all along. But I'm trying, because I like this other lady, because she was cool. But it was like, the personality can't change. Is the personality really permanent? I don't think it is. I think
I don't, and see, where I think I'll translate that would be number one, that from the science perspective, we don't have enough biological information and science to know enough on mental health
right.
or personality. And so, like, if you were going to go to the doctor and you had just you had just eaten a huge cinnamon roll with lots of gooey sugar and bread and whatever, right? And they go to draw your blood and they're like, you have XYZ amount of blood sugar in your blood, and that means you need this much insulin, right? It's a mathematical calculation at that point. They know that this much blood sugar, this much insulin, blah, blah, blah. Right. You know, you should even out and everything be good, right? When it comes to anxiety, depression, bipolar, schizophrenia, even and I would say even personalities, we don't know enough. Like on things like mood and mood things and schizophrenia, those we have more science on those than we do personality.
Oh wow.
And right now I've not ever heard of a medication that's good for any of the personality challenges that people face.
Right.
It's way more behavioral, and I think sometimes that means it's program.
Yeah.
So that brings me to my knowledge of neurolinguistic programming and hypnotherapy and unconscious mind work. Is I think we can do those things. It's the question becomes, is the person ready, willing, and willing to work on the things? Because in order to do what I do now, I guide the person to be at a point where they're ready to take responsibility for, I'll call it responsibility for your own shit.
Yeah.
You have to be in that place first before you can do anything else. And then after that, then we start working on the things. And I don't have enough experience in working with people that have personality challenges, working in that space of helping them, but I have colleagues who do. I generally, if somebody is with a really serious core challenge with that, I generally will help them get to a specialist, because I don't feel like I have the skills in that specific area usually.
Yeah.
And I think knowing your limitations in what you do is really important, especially in my profession. I can't help everyone, and I am definitely not the therapist or coach for everybody.
Right.
Because not everybody understands the blue hair, the squirrels, and the F-bombs that might come out of my mouth.
Yeah, but this is so exciting, because there is so much that can be done. Nothing is sitting here in a box and put away for us, untouchable. It's all available. And like you said, whether you refer someone to someone, or you're like the hypnotherapist classes and all that, no matter what it is, that there's more to go to and more to follow. So I love that. Again, the hope that you're holding.
Well, and the universe has all of it for us. It's just helping. It's part of my job in the universe is helping people get to the places to get their things. Understanding what, helping going inside to get figure out what they have already and what they need. And then helping, okay, how do we negotiate that, find it, or how do we reprogram it here?
Yeah.
One of the things I love about being a geek girl with the technology is I can program this way on a machine, and then I can also program this way on and the interchange. And then when it comes to the interchange between it, when somebody's anxious about technology, that's my favorite thing to do, because I can help them with the anxiety.
Right.
And then I help them with the technology. After I help them with regular, feel better about, then I can help them with the technology. And then if they get anxious or upset or go again, then I just switch hats back and forth.
Oh, beautiful.
And I love it, because there's no reason to be anxious about this thing we're talking through. There's no reason to be anxious about it. But many people are,
Yeah.
you know, and for good reason that they are, but I want to help them transverse that and get to the next stage
Uh,
where they can use this, and it's with that secret mission that I talked about of being using technology to increase your productivity so you have
yeah.
more time for self-care and human interaction.
Ooh.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh,
That's
I just
that's
loved it.
that's the Squirrel Wrangler's secret mission.
Ooh. Yeah, I love it. This is so inspiring right now. And
Mhm.
then I was not today. We're pre-recording the show, but when it's live, it's going to be Father's Day. And so, one, we would like to honor all the fathers. We'd like to call in all the ancestral fathers, and even those that have to be the mother and the father, those that didn't have the fathers but are always looking for one. Whatever case, we are honoring you. And Stacy, I know you had some stuff to share on this special.
Please, I just got chills as you were saying that. I literally got chills across my whole body, which tells me that the ones I'm thinking of
There
for
you
this week, my love of technology actually came from my dad.
go. Awesome.
My first computer when I was in 5th grade was because he liked that, and this is a mock-up representation of it. It was a Commodore 64 computer,
Oh yeah.
and it was because he loved that idea. And if he passed when he was 48 years old.
Mm,
I was 28. It was 28 years ago. So I
yeah.
have now spent half of my life without him and half with him,
Wow.
which has kind of been a kind of an interesting introspective journey as it is.
Yeah.
Um, those last 28, of course, I wonder what he would think of what I'm doing as a social worker, but also then what would he think what gets me really excited is what would he think of all of the new technology that's been out in the 28 years, and what would he be doing with it, and what would he think of what I and my brother both do with it.
Right.
My brother's a full-time musician, and just what would he think of his kids? What would he think of
Oh,
his kids?
oh
And
yeah.
we're both now older than he ever was, which is a really odd feeling to begin with, being older
Oh
than your
yeah.
parent ever was.
Oh
Yeah.
wow.
But I could feel him. And then I have a couple of kind of adopted type dads that I'm also thinking of
Right.
today that gave me some other gifts. One of them gave me helped me start my journey in my spirituality. And he was more of a quiet guy, but he would giggle up a native guy,
Yeah.
and everybody'd say, "Oh, he's so stoic," and they didn't know that underneath that, when he would giggle, oh my gosh, his giggle was infectious. It was quiet, it was infectious, and so if he heard the name of my show of Show Me Your Nuts,
Yeah. Yeah.
actually both he and my biological dad, both of them would probably be laughing they are laughing their butt off.
I-
So I just know they're laughing about it. So
oh my gosh. I love that.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I love that. Now that I feel the things and I can feel the ancestors. It's funny. I still argue with my grandmother every morning when I'm measuring something because she's like, "Oh, it has to be exact," and I go, "No, it doesn't really matter. Just close." And it actually, arguing all these years since it's happened, actually, I've come to understand some things do need to be measured exact. But if you're making macaroni and cheese, it really doesn't. You know what
There
I mean?
cannot be too much cheese. Not at
Really,
all.
you know. So
And multiple cheeses.
it was fun.
I
But
love it.
in my own life, yeah, I've lost my real dad. I never met, and I lost him. Boy, I sure had feelings from that anyway, because that's kind of
Mhm.
ending the hope. Now, nope, I'll never get to. But then there's always, oh, there you are in my dream. Well, hi, glad to meet you. So now we got the
Oh,
whole other thing, and then
that's super cool.
yeah. Then in January, my dad that raised me, died, and there was all kinds of issues with that, which was exciting because, see, I turned 60. A week later, my dad died, and I'm still in the reflective mode because also it's the changing of the year in January, right? And so
Yeah.
I was in a high reflective mode, and it took me even more reflective because there was all kinds of issues and stuff. And so I was really glad. And so here we are today, and I just want to say, Dad, thank you. Thank you for all that anyway. And kind of sorry I was the way I was, but look at me now. How's that? Look at me now. I think you would love me.
I, I second that discussion to them because there are multiple things that like either of those dads, it's like, yeah, sorry I did that, but look at me now. And then the
Yeah.
other one, yeah, sorry I was that way, but look at me now.
Yeah. Because nobody would believe that this became me. So it's pretty exciting, so I have to be full of gratitude. So let's ask our hard questions. Do you feel ready for those?
All right. Let them rip.
This one is also sometimes called the rock and roll question. You're boogieing out there on the stage. You're stepping up to the podium, and they're playing your song before you talk. What song are they playing?
You know what? I'm going to go with the one that they play when I know it's time for me to go sit down.
Okay.
Because that one reminds me, okay, it's time to do the thing, whatever the thing is. And what's funny is with my brother being a musician, every time any of his bands play this song, if I'm standing up somewhere, I'm going, uh-oh, where's my seat? Where's my seat? I got to sit down. And if any of my master practitioner friends are watching this that were in class with me, you're going to giggle too, because you have the same thing. We call it, we're anchored to the song. That song's Uptown Funk.
Okay.
Literally, I can hear that song and I am immediately thinking, okay, by the time this song ends, I need to make sure and find my seat and sit down. And so even though it's getting up on stage to speak, if I were hearing that song, it would be, I need to get to the stage to do my thing.
Yeah. And focus. It centers.
So, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Matt, for that anchor.
Thank you. Second question then. Hey, we all love our gemstones. They're all so pretty, but is there any particular one that's your favorite right now?
My favorite always is opal.
Oh, yeah.
I'm an October baby. Okay. My understanding most of my life has been that, and it was probably one of the first stones I knew of, loved, developed a affinity for. And what I always heard was that if your birthday's not in October, it's bad luck to wear opals. And so, but for those of us born in October, it's actually good luck. And my mom happens to also be a Libra and an October baby. And so that's also probably where my love of them came from, because she has some beautiful ones. And I think one of my first ones I ever got was I got a ring and a necklace right around the same time. As gifts from my parents. I think one of them gave me the ring and one gave me the necklace. And the necklace has a teeny tiny little opal in it, a little opal pendant, and then the ring has a great big teardrop opal that has just all sorts of pretty fire. They're actually not even, I have them put away. They have as much sentimental value as they do like whatever value, and they come out once in a while, but so opals are one, but one of the new ones I have is I have a selenite rod.
Beautiful.
And actually, with the way the light hits, I kind of like playing with it, where like it almost looks like a lightsaber.
Yeah, don't they?
It changes the colors.
Yeah.
And I love how it cools off. It gets cool if it's just sitting there, and so then you can just like, I guess being postmenopausal, anything that's like that, it's like,
yeah, nice, yeah. Nice. I love that. I
So
love.
so I got it so that it would like do some I'm trying to learn about gemstones. So I
Oh
got
yeah.
it to talk about, the cleansing aspect of the selenite.
Oh
So
yeah.
those are my
Yeah.
stones for the
Beautiful.
moment.
I love that. Yeah, you cannot have enough selenite for
I
sure.
That's what I'm worried about is the bank account and the selenite. Yeah.
It's beautiful. So the other question always inspires little stories, and we got like 7 minutes left though. So the story I want to know: have you ever had any extra dimensional or extraterrestrial or just any kind of really cool stories happen to you?
Hmm. Actually, I have. So my great uncle used to have a house on Paladura Canyon outside of Amarillo, Texas. Beautiful little canyon. I've never been to the Grand Canyon, but
Oh,
Paladura is this beautiful little canyon area, and so I can imagine what Grand Canyon would look like. But we were at that house one night, and all of a sudden, it was in the evening, and across the canyon, on the other uh, top of the other wall, there's nothing there. Okay, mind you, there's not. If there are anything there, it might be a couple of houses. But all of a sudden, there were lights like it was a city.
whoa.
Like
Yeah.
not just not just a couple of lights, and the lights weren't there like the day before, the evening before.
Wow.
So it, like this entire city there, and this happened more than one occasion, and I'd heard stories of it as well. I'd heard stories and thought, you're nuts, you're there we go, show me your nuts. um Thinking my family members were, sure you saw that, until I did. And then I
Wow.
was like, ooh, that's great. It was just wild that there was this city. And so I still to this day don't know anything else about it, but that's
Wow.
probably that one. And then the other thing that happened was the day my grandfather died. His dad, his brother, and his mom, and my other great grandpa. So my two great grandpas, his dad and his father-in-law. His mom died when he was 5.
Oh,
So I
wow.
never knew her. I
Oh,
never knew her. All right. The day he died, they all came to me.
oh, wow.
And I knew it was her, even though I had never
Yeah.
met her.
Yes, because that feeling.
That was probably one of my, then that was in right around, I can't believe I'm blanking the year, but it was right around, I think it was 2001. I get the years mixed up of when we lost, but I remember exactly the
Yeah.
event, and I remember I was like in the room when he passed too, like less than an hour after this other thing happened.
Right, right.
And because I knew I needed to just be, that was like, okay, they boy, basically what they were telling, it was one of my first spiritual experiences in general. What they were basically telling me was, you're gonna be okay. It's time for him to leave, but you guys are all gonna be okay.
Right.
And we're here,
Ah,
we're waiting for him and whatever. So it was like, it was really and that it's funny because that kind of experience isn't uncommon now, but it was the first time I
yeah.
remember being cognizant of it.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, that one
Yeah.
was cool.
Yeah. How amazing. I love
Especially
that.
since I didn't know her,
Yeah.
and I knew
But you could feel
absolutely it
that
was her.
love there. You could feel the
Uh-huh.
continuation,
Oh
and
yeah,
that's,
I knew it. I absolutely knew it was her. Yeah.
yeah. I love that. I
Mhm.
love that. Okay, Stacy, I've had so much fun today. We will have to get you on again sometime because, your family
Oh,
anyway.
I'd love to come back again. I'd love to.
So,
And I'd
yes.
love to extend my invitation that as I go through the Show Me Your Nuts
Oh, yeah.
repertoire, that I'd like to invite you guys to
Oh, yeah.
come share stories the other direction with me.
Oh, we could
Some
do that.
on a
Yeah, we
Tuesday.
got stories.
Do
That'll be good.
you
That'll
got
be
nuts to
fun.
show me?
I, I, I can't wait to show you my nuts.
Oh, that should be a hashtag. I can't wait to show me. I can't wait to show you my nuts.
Yeah, yeah, that'll be fun.
That will be fun.
Okay, so yeah, here's what I want you to do next. As we go out, I want you to go ahead, tell everybody where to reach you, where to find you, and remind them what day your show's going to be. Don't forget this, guys.
All right. Well, I'll do a official introduction as a exit. My name is Stacy Braiuca. I'm known as the Squirrel Wrangler, and I guide humans to wrangle their inner squirrels of negative emotions, limiting beliefs, and self-doubt so that they can live in peace and in joy. And my new show, Show Me Your Nuts, is premiering on the Breakthrough Show Network on Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 Central, 8 Mountain, 7 Pacific. And you can find it at showmeyournuts.online. And if you really want to have some interesting time, go to watch.showmeyournuts.live, and you can watch the show from inside of a Go Brunch room with other people.
Oh, that's what that
If
does.
the technology, I've tested it, it's supposed to work. It should work. But you can help me test it and make sure that it works, and watch the show live with other folks. And yeah, I'm excited. I don't know what it's going to bring. But it's going to be fun. It's definitely going to be fun. It'll be this coming Tuesday, June 17th.
Yes, it's going to be a nut revolution. I tell you, I'm going to love it.
A nutty revolution.
Yeah. So thank you. And we'll see you all again soon. And take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.